What's going on, folks? A little bit of a different setup, as you guys can see. Um, really wanted to get this out to you guys as soon as possible. Just a quick rundown. Yesterday, I got back from my trip to Montreal. Didn't get home till about like 10 o'clock or so, and just absolutely dusted. Went to go visit the cousins, and then Sunday night at midnight, so pretty much Monday morning, we went to a EDM festival that was going down in Montreal, headline by Armin van Buren. So we're there till like 4:30 a.m. And then we got home, grabbed some food, and by the time we went to sleep, it was 6:30. And then we had to get up at 10:30 to go visit our cousins before we had to head back to Toronto. So big lot of energy used over the last 36 hours or so it was hard for me to really get down to break down these fights for you guys. I had tape study 3 fights before I left to Montreal for this card. Turns out that one of the fights ended up falling through. Carl Williams steps in to fight Jimmy Lawson, so I had to do some tape on him, and then I had to still get to the other 2 fights. So managed to get it right down to the wire here. I've released my bets. Only got 2 bets, 2 underdog plays. I'll quickly talk about them here, and then I'll tell you what they are officially at the end of the podcast. But I want to try to rifle through this as quickly as possible. So I truly appreciate everybody that's going to be commenting and dropping likes and subscribes, but I won't be able to touch on much of the comment section here because I want to. We got 17 minutes until the fights actually kick off. So I just want to quickly give you guys my thoughts before we get into the fights here. So let's just get right into it. Let's get into the first fight of the night. We got Teresa Bleja going up against Nayara Maya, minus 560 on Bleja and plus 430 the return on Maya. Now, the interesting thing about this fight is that both of these girls are both grapplers, right? Primarily, they like to get fights to the ground. They want to grapple their opponents. They want to look for submissions, get dominant positions, and try to get them out of there. And I was kind of surprised after running tape on both of these women that, yes, Bleja is the better fighter, right? She looks like she could absolutely go out there and have the better moments here, have the better minutes. But my concern comes in the fact that the line is just so goddamn wide. Nayara is 7-0-1. She's only 32 years old. Yes, her striking could use some work. And yes, she does give up positions at times and she can be reversed. And, she seems a little sloppy at times, but she is a tank of a woman. She's very strong. She can get that top position when she needs to. She's at least a brown belt level, and I think that should be enough for her to, stay competitive in this matchup. Like, I could understand Teresa around a minus 200, max minus 250. So you should have seen my face when I saw the fact that it was all the way up to minus 600. I'm just going to quickly look at the line here. Yeah, she opened up as a minus 300 and then immediately got bet down to minus 700. So yes, she is the better fighter. Yes, she has a little bit more upside, but at plus 430, I got to take a little bit of a stab here on Maya, considering that the line is just too wide. Both women fight relatively the same, though I do believe that Bleda is the better overall fighter. She has the better striking. She stays more active in that realm, but that shouldn't put her as a minus 600 by any means, right? At a certain point, it's gonna happen that this fight's gonna get into the grappling realm, and Maya seems like she's strong enough that she could get her own positions and get some own dominant top time as well. So, I'll be, if you want to take a prediction per se, okay, Blade probably wins this fight. But if you want to take odds into consideration, I don't see a reason as to why you should be parlaying minus 600 in a fight like this. Maria Silva the other week just showed us that, no matter if you're big, strong, you look like the better grappler or whatever on tape, once you actually fight levels up in competition and start taking those steps up in competition, things might start to get harder and harder for you. So minus 600 is absolutely insane. I do much prefer the Maya side here in terms of a bet. So I have a half unit on Maya at plus 430. Line is insane to me, honestly. Socrates saying, look, the lines haven't been moving because I wasn't making content. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, what's the size discrepancy here too? I see everybody saying that Bleja is massive here. So Maya, you got 5'5", Bleja, you got 5'9". So she'll have a 4-inch height advantage. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in those grappling, those clinch positions. Will the shorter fighter who, based on technique and all that stuff, should be the one to get the takedowns a little bit easier, considering her hips are a little bit lower to the ground. But, it always doesn't play out that way as well. So for anybody that's like, hey, why are you taking the big underdog here? There you guys go, right? Bleja should win this fight. She is probably the better fighter, but minus 600, you must take a little bit of a shot on in my opinion. All right, let's move on to the next one here. We're going to be talking about Neriman Abasov, who's coming in at minus 130. Return on Ismail Bonfin is plus 110. I was very excited to tape study this fight, right? I was, I saw the flashy record on the side of Abasov. Let me just quickly see what that is again. 28-3. On the flip side for Ismail Bonfim, you're talking about 17-3. But Abasov, very fun fighting style, right? The guy, like, just I like to. I started comparing him in my head to a more reckless and wild version of Billy Q, right? He just puts the pressure on you. He throws big shots. He doesn't mind putting himself into danger because it seems like, even though it looks like he slows down sometimes, he's just able to just put this relentless pace on guys. And it's very difficult for a lot of those guys to hold up, right? I was looking at, okay, is there some chinks in the record of Abasov, and you see him fighting some older guys. I think that Shamil Zarov guy that he fought 2 fights ago, 40-6. I think he was 37 or 38 years old. The guy he fought before that was 4-1-1. Marif Parayev, 32 4-1. I believe he was around the same age as him. A relentless pace that he's putting on in that fight. So to go undefeated for nearly 5 years, coming up on 6 years now, and that includes, 12, 13 straight wins, the majority of them by finish as well. Very impressed with what I saw with the kid. Technically speaking, he will likely be outstruck here by Bonfim, who's a little bit better with the hands, a little bit more clean, crisp shots down the middle, decent jiu-jitsu background as well. But just like his brother, a lot of their success comes from being able to touch up their opponents with their striking. So I could see Bonfim, having success by touching them up from the outside and being the cleaner striker down the pipe. But maybe the relentlessness of Abasov will eventually pay off here, and that might start to drown the Bonfim side. I did see Bonfim start to slow down in his last fight against Andre Augusto, and I feel like if it was Abasov in the cage that night, he likely would have been able to, pull it into that next gear and get the better of him. No bet on this fight from me. I'd consider possibly the fight doesn't go to decision, but I don't really feel like pulling the trigger on that. Again, sticking to money lines is what I want to do, especially considering the insane run that I'm on right now with picking the money line spots that I have. So I do like the Nariman side. The only reason I can't pull the trigger is because the recklessness of Abasov. It could put him into trouble here. It could get him countered and put out stiff here by Bonfim, who's likely the better technical striker in this matchup. As my guy, who is it? Somebody just said here. Somebody mentioned Luke. Adam Max saying both the Bonfim brothers are like Luke. Yeah, they do train with him. So interesting. Again, I apologize for everybody that's asking questions and trying to get an answer from me. I'm trying to pound through these breakdowns ASAP because the fights kick off in about 10 minutes. I will, however, for you guys, I will do a Lucky Late Night later tonight to catch up with any and everybody. Appreciate everybody who's been showing the support. And then lastly, I'll be back to the MMA Lock Talk tomorrow as well so that I can answer any and all questions. All right, let's move on to the next fight here. We're going to be talking about Jimmy Lawson, who's coming in at minus 215, plus 185, the return on Carl Williams. Now, Jimmy Lawson was supposed to fight some Polish dude before, but I'm not sure what exactly happened with that guy, Kevin something. But I was really considering taking an underdog shot on Kevin, right? Jimmy Lawson, he has a wrestling background, Penn State collegiate wrestler, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of hype coming on him into his professional MMA career. Kind of stumbled in his debut against a legitimate prospect. I'll give him that. It was a legit prospect in Saeed Soma that he lost to that night. But you see him really struggle in the Edwin Smart fight. That guy's getting takedowns on him. This guy's a nobody. He's getting takedowns on Jimmy Lawson. Then eventually, I believe that was the weird one where Jimmy Lawson was kind of holding the inside of the glove and had him in this like weird gift wrap position where he just kept punching him and eventually got the TKO victory there. But, didn't come without some controversy for sure. And then his next 3 fights combined for, I believe, like 60 or 70 seconds because he just went in there and absolutely starched these guys right off the bat. Now, we've seen this time and time again, right? You got to be very careful betting chalk on guys that just go out there and finish the guys in one minute, because anything we see of Jimmy Lawson past that first round, a little bit sketchy, right? Even Edwin Smart was having success in that second round before he got caught up in that weird position up against the cage. Saeed Soma, was staying busier than him and really putting it on him. Carl Williams, not the funnest of fighters to watch. The tape was very grueling to watch, but that's how he fights. He puts pressure on his opponents, he drags them to the ground, and he really imposes his size and his will on top of these guys, right? Now people are going to be like, oh, Jimmy Lawson's probably going to be the better wrestler here because he was a Penn State University guy. But anything that I've seen on tape doesn't really show me that he's this amazing, wrestler that's going to stop all these takedowns, or going to be able to stop the pressure of Carl Williams. So yeah, of course I'm going to take a 1 unit shot on Carl Williams here at plus 200. Lawson, if he doesn't get him out of there in that first round, which is possible, let's give him that credit, right? He does have some big power as he's shown off, but if he does not get him out of there in that first minute or 2 minutes, I think he's going to really struggle with the size here and style of Carl Williams. Carl will have a 3-inch height advantage. I'm not sure what the reach advantage is going to be here. Jimmy Lawson at 79, but we don't really have one here on. Actually, you know what? See if UFC Stats has a reach on him. Again, I don't think it's going to make a big difference. Yeah, UFC Stats doesn't have it either. It won't make a big difference either. Carl Williams used to fight at heavyweight, big dude, start to cut to 205 pounds. So I don't think that this is going to be him completely outmatched, but I do think that he will be able to really mess up. Jimmy Lawson in that grind, in that clinch position the later that this fight goes. So I know the dangers of betting Carl Williams here. He could get stretched early, but he survive, he should be able to win this fight and grind it out. So give me Carl Williams, and I took a 1 unit shot on him at plus 200. Next up, we got 6 minutes left, so I'm going to rifle through this as quickly as I can. Again, apologies for the brief breakdown here, but I want to make sure we shall do it. Next up, like I said, Gabriel Bonfin, minus 410, going up against Trey Waters at plus 330. I believe that this was also somewhat of a short notice step in as well for Trey Waters. I think he had a little bit more time than Carl Williams, though. But I didn't mind what I saw from Trey Waters on tape, right? Fast jab, crisp striking, decent movement, solid enough takedown defense. But I think, Bonfin is probably the best fighter he's fought to this point. Trey Waters cashed as a plus 400 underdog in his last fight with a knee from hell that came with like 20 something seconds left in a fight that he likely would have lost on the scorecards, just based off his opponent just pushing him up against the cage and just not able to get him down, which was what his opponent tried doing, and Waters eventually kept himself in that fight, eventually finding that knockout, like I said, late in that fight. But beautiful striking from him. When he's on, his jab looks crisp, it looks lightning fast, and it seems like it very much demoralizes his opponents. Gabriel Bonfin is a national boxing champion, if I'm not mistaken, on the amateur ranks in Brazil. You can see it with the crispness that he throws with his strikes. Very good 1-2s, very good counters, good kicks as well. It's interesting that the majority of his wins have actually come by submission, even though his bread and butter seems to be his boxing here. But I did see some things that made me want to just stay away from this fight all in all. What I'm going to quickly do here is just read off the best bets and props article that I had for this fight, just so I can be as quick and concise about it. So I know I made sure that I touched on every single point, leading to, let you guys know why I think that this line a little bit wide, but not going to be ultimately taking the shot on Trey Waters. This should be a fun fight between two strikers with different styles. The Bonfim brothers are highly touted, and many are anticipating that they'll be very successful on the big stage. Gabriel is younger than his brother by a year, and he is also the one with an unblemished 12-0 record. All of his wins have come inside the distance, with the large majority of them via submission. What's interesting about that is that he is known to be a phenomenal boxer more than a BJJ specialist. He has fast combinations and is very disciplined. He did get clipped in his last fight with Albert, but the BJJ specialist in that matchup got too overzealous and allowed Bonfim to get his wits back about him and to survive the round. Waters is a fun short notice replacement here. He brings in a 6-0 record to the cage. It could have easily been 5-1, but a well-timed knee with 23 seconds remaining allowed him to pull off the upset as a plus 400 underdog. He was getting held against the cage for the majority of the fight and was struggling to get back into open space. Luckily, the knee came through for him, and he was able to put up the victory. When Waters is at his best, he has fluid movement in open space mixed with his lightning fast jab and cross that follows. Opponents struggle to time his jabs and ultimately succumb to the speed and rhythm Waters sets. I understand why Bonfim is a large favorite in this spot, and as he'll likely have more paths to victory, but Waters could make this close given his speed advantage. I still think Gabriel's wrestling level is unknown, and the takedown defense we've seen from Waters is good enough. However, Gabriel's takedown game, I haven't seen enough of Trey's takedown defense to undoubtedly say that he'll be able to keep this fight upright. I lean Bonfim here, but I can't come to terms with laying chalk on him in this spot. There you guys go. All right, main event. Again, another one. We got 3 minutes left here, so I'm just going to rifle off what I said in my best bets and props article and give you guys my thoughts on this rematch between two guys that actually fought on the regional scene. Adolfo Bellato coming in at plus 115 and minus 135, the return on Vitor Petrino. Not often do we see a rematch on the Contender Series of guys that fought each other on the regional scene. That is exactly what we are getting here between these two Brazilian light heavyweights. Bellato's only loss on his record is to Petrino. Otherwise, his record has been squeaky clean. Their first fight took place back in May 2019 when Petrino KO'd Bellato in 25 seconds. Since then, Bellato has finished his next 3 opponents all in the first round. He is a BJJ black belt, though I have to admit I haven't been the most impressed from what I've seen on tape. He's had a sneaky reversal I saw him hit in one fight, but outside of that, I haven't been overly impressed. His striking game is developing, but he leaves a lot of openings to be hit. That's where I think his downfall will come here. Petrino has heavy hands and has finished 5 of 6 of his professional bouts. His level of competition has been very sketchy, excluding the former UFC fighter Gadzhimurad Antagulov. However, that fight went like any Antagulov fight, with him having early success, then eventually tiring out and getting finished by his opponent. Bellato has had a more legit regional run, but I don't think that should automatically make him a live underdog in this spot. I've seen Petrino have some decent takedown defense at times. He's even pulled off some reversals himself late in fights. I do think minus 200 may be a little wide on Petrino, but I still think he'll eventually find that kill shot. Bellato's striking defense is too much of a liability for me. This does kind of feel like last week's matchup between Morgan and Bilder. The grappler showed some flaws in getting hurt in numerous fights, but he did usually come back and get the win. The reason I put more stock in the punching power of the striker in this matchup is because they are light heavyweights, not featherweights like Morgan was. Give me Petrino, but I'd rather bet violence if it's at a decent number. So I got Petrino via KO there. I like fight doesn't go to decision, but that's obviously up to minus 500 now, if I'm not mistaken. But also, when I wrote that article, Petrino was minus 200. Now he's sitting around minus 135, so not too bad of a spot. Maybe people are thinking that that Petrino knockout won't come this way or this time around, but I do think that we'll see him find that chin eventually in this spot. All right. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys. I'll quickly just say my biggest or my only plays today. Again, not really liking this card the most, but sorry. I'll give you predictions first and then what my bets are. Predictions are Maya decision, Abasov late KO, Carl Williams late TKO, Bonfin submission, and then Petrino KO. But my bets are 1 unit on Williams at plus 200 and then half a unit on Maya at plus 430. Again, I don't need to see a whole lot to bet a minus or plus 430, especially in a fight that I see playing out as closely as I think this one is. All right. Tyler Rose. Let's just address this Rose quick. Saying you're probably the same person that was saying Brazilian was going to dominate the Polish girl last week. I did say that she was going to win. I thought she was going to win, honestly, but I didn't bet her. I did not bet her. Go back and check the record, my friend. Daniel's saying, stop trying to be cool. I'm giving you my thoughts. Jeez, you guys are crazy. I took a half unit shot on Maya. All right, fights kick off right now. We'll find out very shortly. Good luck to everybody on your action. I will be back likely later tonight for a Lucky Late Night, and then I'll be I'll likely be back tonight for a Lucky Late Night, and then tomorrow for MMA Lock Talk. Love you guys. You guys are hilarious. Go ahead and bet the minus 700. I don't care if she wins or not. Minus 700. Have fun. Peace.